What's up, everybody? Coach Ken from Giving It a Try. I think it's week 32 of 2025, getting towards the end of the week. I have my sheet with me, obviously. We're out on the road, just testing out a little bit of audio equipment and just showing you that I am human. I am trying to fit it all in. I am here a little early just so I can do this, picking my kids up from their last day of camp this week. And really just wanted to recap what's been going on with the coached athletes and what do we got in the works here. A large portion of the coached athletes, especially those fall marathon athletes right now, and we have a lot of marathons on tap, and I'm going to forget them all. I wrote them down, but we have Chicago Wineglass Marathon, New York City Marathon athletes. We have half marathon Suffolk athletes, a couple of them doing it. And then can't forget, just want to shout out to the people training for their full Ironmans. Ironman Maryland, Ironman Wisconsin. We also have Jones Beach 70.3 coming up. So still these really big events, and they're all like 4 to 6 weeks out, or 4 to 8 weeks out of these Ironmans, and then of course we got a couple months left till these later fall marathons in November. So right now, a lot of those marathon athletes are doing threshold testing. And what does that mean? We're putting them through basically a 5K or 20-minute threshold, depending on their level of fitness. And what is that and why is that important? And that is, it's good to test yourself. The philosophy or the methodology that I use, the 80-20 training, is great. 80% of the time we're in zone 1, zone 2, up to 20% of the time we're doing some workouts hotter than that. Intervals, threshold work, tempo work if you're building towards a race, 12, 16, 18 weeks out, whatever it is. So it's good to see the progress, to see kind of where you're at and the differences. And why that's important is not as only a good workout, like throwing a 5K down or 20-minute threshold down is a really great workout. And some athletes are craving that because they've been so diligent with their proper intensities and training that they just want to give it a go and see where they're at. And it really gives them an insight into kind of where they're at, kind of see the progress that they've made. And you can expect to see usually progress in a better time than when you started your training block. But some of these athletes that are doing it are either at the beginning of their training or they're kind of just in the base building. We wanted to reestablish what their fitness zones were and what their fitness ability is right now. And unfortunately, a couple of them are lower than maybe the last test they did last season because maybe they were in peak form last season. We just wanted to readjust those zones. Because remember, you can't hold your peak fitness, you can't hold your peak marathon or Ironman fitness 12 months out of the year. That's why we build and plan and put macro cycles and mesocycles into your training plan throughout the year and focus on certain things as we go about it. So they're smashing away. They're getting there. I mean, literally, like more than half of the coached athletes are doing some type of threshold test in August. And I wanted to wait a little while. I wanted to do it a little earlier in the year, but man, it's been so hot out in the Northeast. And what, unfortunately, though, I mean, you had to get heat acclimated. Some people suffer a little more with their pace and higher heart rates in this humid weather. But we do want to establish zones current for the stuff that you're training in. If we're working off of a zone test from when it was nice and cool out in last winter, then it's really not going to be as accurate as it needs to be now for your zones. Great part is, as these are rolling in, this like the first week of this testing, tons of lifetime PRs, 2025 PRs in the 5K distance, people putting down some of their best 20-minute segments of running, and that's really awesome to see because it just validates and gives you that confidence boost of the training I'm doing is kind of working. And I also had one athlete that like literally crushed their 5K. Probably they paced it better than they did it 2 months ago when we first started working together. They're training for a marathon. And they were a little concerned, like, oh man, was I under training? Was I going a little too slow the last few months now that my zones changed so much? No, but now that your zones did change and you do have the ability to run a little bit faster in these zone 2 runs, you still want to make sure that we're not, you know, pushing the envelope a little bit in training. Like if that athlete would have just stayed even in the zones they were in, they would have made monumental progress towards their marathon still because they would have been running so much more in that easier zone when we needed that aerobic zone that it would have been amazing for them. But with those reestablished zones, if you are kind of increasing your threshold and what you're capable of, some of your easy runs are going to be a little faster. But that's still, remember the principles. I always send out to everybody your new zones, how they're adjusted in training peaks, and then the refresh video to go through because it is good to refresh yourself on that buy-in that you need on these zones. Doesn't just mean that you're getting faster and now you think, well, if I run faster, even faster than I'm supposed to, that I'll get even fitter. That could stall your progress because you may not be doing the proper intensity zones. And on top of that, your recovery is going to suffer. You're not going to hit the intensities that we need on those intense days. A lot of you are going to have a lot of work coming up in the next 2 to 3 months, especially as these long runs progress on these marathons and we put some tempo or marathon miles of pace into these long runs. That's when the money's made. That's when we can kind of anticipate what we think you're going to run on marathon day. I've gotten that question from a few people is, do you think I can run X pace on marathon day? Still a little too early for a lot of people, but you know, you never know where your training is going to lead. You never know. Like, keep it open ended. You know, I'll let you know that if we're falling off pace per se or not in the progress area that we need to for that. So that's what we got going on right now. Tons of testing, tons of just reappropriating, getting set for these final big training blocks that we're going to be heading into. Really going to be sharpening that knife for these Ironman athletes for their Ironman races. Like, they're going into their big blocks of training, their peak weeks. So we're trying to set them up for perfection right now. And then as well, working on a few other things on the side. This isn't just for the coached athletes. This is for everybody who follows along and for potential future athletes that want to come on board. There's a little bit of a collaboration effort going on behind the scenes right now. Some of my coached athletes got a little preview of what might be coming with that. And there's going to be more coming out in the future. So once those details are finalized, you know, I'd love to, you know, throw it out there to everybody. And it's really going to be awesome because it's going to be a really awesome collaboration that we're working on, and it's going to be great for everybody, not just the coached athletes in the program, but everybody else that follows along, because that's the passion. That's what we do. Is I follow the road of where this passion goes with coaching, and anytime I see an opportunity to provide more value for anybody, not just coached athletes that are on board in this community, you know, paying for coaching, just for anybody who's following along, anybody who puts their faith in listening to me and my journey and things like that. So super excited, super stoked for that. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up in the next 4 to 5 weeks, a lot of information rolling out, and I'm super excited about it. So I just wanted to jump on here, also test this kind of setup so I can kind of do things on the fly. Hopefully this, the video quality is okay and the audio quality is okay. This is the first time I'll post it up, and just shoot down in the comments what you think about this. And for everybody right now, I just want you all to stay safe, stay healthy, keep balancing that life 1 mile at a time, and I will see you on the next one.